I booted it.
Jared's going to get the boot off Grammie's car after she answers this question. So, Grammie, maybe tell me a little bit about, I don't know, it could be about raising children when you had 6 children at home, or maybe, I don't know, any other topic that comes to mind. Just share a little bit of something you remember.
So you want something that I remember from days gone by,
Yeah.
or something right now? I mean, what's your point in these questions? What do you want to know?
This is like family
know
history,
you.
get to know you. So
Oh.
your great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren could watch it and be like, that's our Grammie Hardy.
My children are the crowning jewels in my crown. I waited, especially this one right here.
Number 2.
I waited my whole life to be a mother. That's all I ever wanted to be. I wanted to get married and I wanted to be a mother.
So how did you lure Dad in to make sure you could have children?
I don't know. I didn't say, can we have children? We better be able. His patriarchal blessing said he would have sons and daughters of great accomplishment.
Ooh.
Mine says nothing about children. So when I couldn't get pregnant for those first 2 years, I was quite worried.
Oh, wow.
Well, you may not know this, though, but back then in 1969, 1970, you could go up and ask for a general authority to give you a blessing. And so we called up there and we got an appointment with LeGrand Richards.
He dedicated our church building.
Anyway, he was really pretty neat, and we went, and kind of nervous.
Didn't he write the Miracle of Forgiveness, LeGrand Richards?
No, that's
Spencer W. Kimball.
Oh, who did?
He did write.
Sorry,
he
okay.
wrote A Marvelous Work in
Yes, A
Wonder.
Marvelous Work. That's it. Okay,
yes.
sorry, yes.
Yeah, good.
Anyway, so we went up, and he talked to us a little bit, and we said, we just want to have children and haven't been able to get pregnant. Dad thinks I got pregnant after that, but with the way I had it, I think I didn't worry because we were going to get a blessing.
You were pregnant when you got it?
I already was. That's me, but Dad doesn't agree.
Blessings are eternal. They can work before you get them.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, he had Dad stand in the circle with him while he gave me the blessing. And he blessed me that I would be able to get pregnant and have children based on David's righteousness. And David said he'd never been so scared in his whole life if he was basing this blessing on his righteousness, not mine, but on Dad's. All the way home, he kept saying, oh my gosh, are we not going to have kids or what? I said, you're righteous. That really worried him. But I had
That's really a more specific question. David, what are you so worried about?
Anyway,
I sneak cookies at night.
So we had Angie, and when Angie was 9 months old, boom, I found out no working. I was pregnant with Jennifer. So she was quite a surprise, but a good surprise because I wanted a zillion kids. And so they were just 18 months apart, and it was wonderful. Oh, they were the best friends.
They're so cute.
And they had each other. And when I left Angie to go in the hospital to have her, Angie looked like such a baby to me. At 18 months, they're still little, but I remember Wawa waited out in the car with Angie while Dad came up to get you and I to go home. And when I got in the car, Angie had on these little Winnie the Pooh button pajamas with the feet. Do you remember that? The tops and bottoms. And all of a sudden, she looked huge.
Yeah.
I had this little bundle, your mom, in my arm, and Angie just looked huge. But your mom was so amazing because she had all this hair. She had the most hair of any of my children. And she looked like an Indian because it just went wing until I combed it. And David said, my mom's coming up to see her, but I don't want you to get offended because when Wawa sees something that she loves, she just starts laughing. Yep. Laughing. And had he not told me that, I probably would have gotten offended because she went and looked at you and just started laughing.
Yep.
She didn't say a word. She just started laughing. And then all of a sudden.
I can see her doing that.
Yeah, all of a sudden she said, oh, love that hair. And I said, oh, me too. Isn't it so cute? Because it was black and thick. And if you didn't wet it down, it just went like those Indian babies.
Maybe Wawa gave me the gift of laughter.
I'm sure
she probably did.
I'm sure
passed
she did.
Her spiritual gift on to you.
That's so cute.
And let me just tell you for posterity how she got her name of Babe, which I've called her and Dad's called her that our whole life. We took her home. We lived down in in Carterville on 633 West, 1850 North, down in the river bottoms. And when she was about 2 weeks old, Angie came. I was always trying to get Angie to play with dolls and buggies and stuff, and she really wanted nothing to do with it. A ball, yes, she'd play with a ball, but not babies. But she came out from her room, and I had a purple push stroller, but the big kind that you lay the babies in. And she had taken Jennifer off of either my bed or somewhere and put her in this little stroller.
Wow.
By herself.
And she's a year and a half old.
And Jennifer was probably a couple weeks old.
That's like Lacey.
Yeah, and Angie was only 18 months old. And she came into the kitchen, and here was Jennifer in this stroller buggy, and I about died. And I said, oh, you got to be really careful with her. Oh, I am. And she'd push her all around the thing, and I'd just go, oh, what if this knocks over? This little baby's in there. But she had put a blanket in there and everything. And so I said, well, honey, we need to take her out. I don't want her to fall or the thing to knock over. And she pushed the stroller away, and she said, no, my babe. And so that's how your mom got her name of Babe. We just called her Babe, and Dad loved it. Dad got quite a few looks when we were walking places with our family, and he'd say, hey, Babe, come here. And they'd look at him like, you're talking to your daughter? Like that. But that's how your mom got her name of Babe.
That's awesome.
So she's always been Babe. But Angie said, no, my Babe. That's how your mom got her name. Okay, what else do you want to know?
How were your deliveries?
Oh, they were wonderful. 2-3 pushes, my babies were here.
All of them.
All of them.
Oh, wow.
Anything scary in any of them? Like
Yeah, Diana was really scary because my water had never broken with any of the other 5.
Well, Jen and Angie were there watching, right?
Yes. Angie was almost 16 and Jennifer was 18 months younger, but they got suited up, and I was there for like 6 hours because I thought I was peeing, but my water actually was leaking. So they want you to come in when it starts leaking. So I went in, but I sat on that bed for 6 hours, nothing, because I wasn't really in labor yet. And so they started Pitocin, and 5 hours later, Diana was born. But right before she was born, they came in and ripped all the IVs and everything out of me and started wheeling the bed out. And I said, what's wrong? And they said her heartbeat has dropped to 16, which is, that's pretty low.
That's horrible. That's
Yeah.
like emergency C-section.
And we've got to take you in and take her right now. So I never thought about having to have a C-section ever. But by the time I got down the hall and into the delivery room, I'd fully dilated. And I remember Dr. Lohner, Dr. Lohner, that you two were, and these two were in white suits and hats. They were in there ready to see this baby born. And I was so excited that they let them come in, because the two of them came in to watch this birth. Not very many young people can come in.
2
and
teenage daughters that became mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was wonderful.
And nurses, both of them.
I know. That's one of my favorite things that I've ever done, is had them come in and watch
Yeah.
that so they could see it.
Do you remember that, Jen? What do you remember about Diana coming out?
Oh, it was amazing. It was scary though, because when
With the
they
cord wrap or
couldn't
something,
deliver
or-
her because the cord
Was wrapped
around her arms like this, and she was halfway out, and they had to cut the cord to let her come out all the way.
He said
right?
to Jennifer and Angie, you need to stand back, because I'm going to have to reach in and cut this, and it's going to squirt this umbilical cord.
Yeah.
But it never did. But I would try to push her, but she couldn't go out because there was no more cord.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
scary.
So
And
he
she was
reached in.
purple.
Yeah, and when she was born, she was blue.
Wow.
So I didn't even get to see if it was a girl or a boy. They had a
Scary.
team behind me of like 3 or 4 doctors back
Take
there.
care of her.
And you guys went back and watched her, I think. And I didn't even get to see if it was a boy or a girl. Nobody said one word. And I thought, oh, I hope she's okay. I did see the blue, which was a little scary. But the Apgars, in 3 and 5 minutes, she was perfect. So she just needed to be born.
She needs to breathe. That's
She
awesome.
just
So
needed
what
to get out.
what was it like when you had little children just running all over and changing diapers, and the little toddler stage and young kids everywhere?
I actually loved it. I mean, I'm sure there were days when I was tired or haggard, but the thought of having little kids and all of them different ages and
And being yours.
it was a dream come true. But every mother gets like, come home and help, Dad. But see, David was raised with a mom and dad who the dad came home and sat in the chair, and this is figuratively, gets his slippers and gives him the paper. And she goes in and does all the dishes, bathes all the kids, puts them all to bed. You know, that's how that generation
That's how my parents were.
was
Yeah,
raised.
same
And
thing.
so dad wasn't a lot of help sometimes. I'm sure he says he changed diapers all the time, but one day in heaven we'll know when we watch that video. See? 3 times your whole life? No, I don't know. I'm sure he did.
Jared, have you changed a diaper?
Yes.
Whose?
Lacey.
Lacey Jennifer's.
Yeah. So anyway, no, I loved having little kids. I loved all the things they did. I've been reading my journals back there from the 70s and stuff, and Jennifer and Angie went to gymnastics, and Sally went with Thornburgs to go tumbling or dancing, and Kenny had things when he came along. I love reading my journal.
That's so
I
cute.
loved those times. I really did. I'm sure there were days when I was tired, but I don't remember not loving doing what I was doing.
Well, that's an inspiration. That's pretty neat. Any advice to posterity on being young parents? Besides Spencer W. Kimball, just do it.
Well, I'm pretty impressed with Janessa and Tyler and how they're raising Lacey. The reason I think Lacey is so happy and so smiling is because Janessa and Tyler are always smiling at her.
Yeah.
Even when she's a little fussy, they'll say, now, you're okay. And they smile at her. They think everything she does is sweet and wonderful. And I think a baby can feel that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're frustrated with them, they feel that, and
Yeah.
it makes them even worse. But I think that's one reason why Lacey is so happy and such a positive little baby, because they're positive about everything they do with
Yeah,
her.
that's so true.
And
They're really
and
good.
you can see it in her face and eyes. She knows that. She knows she's loved, and sometimes I think she just is fussy because she's getting tired,
Yeah.
but she knows what she loves. And even when they come over on Wednesday nights and we watch movies and have dinner every other Wednesday, she walks in, and I always turn my lights on the railing and above, because she used to, when I fed her,
Spencer
she would
lights.
look at those lights. So she looks now, and I think she knows where she is. And when they go on the couch, those lights that hang over the couch, that other couch where they sit, I used to spin those, and she'd watch them when she was really little. So I watch her face, and I can see the intelligence in her. She knows where she is.
Yeah.
She's so
She
smart.
recognizes stuff.
Yeah.
So she's going to be really smart. But as new parents, I think we need to be as positive and happy. I remember once with Tammy. Tammy was always, let's see, or was it Tasia? It was Tasia and Tammy. And Tasia was always going like this. And Tammy said, why does she do that? And one day we looked at Tammy, and that's what she was doing while she was changing her, kind of frowning. And so they imitate us. So with Lacey, when they see somebody happy and not upset because they're crying, they learn to be patient and stuff like that. And I think that's why Lacey's so happy. Not all babies are happy like that. And I said, well, your next one could be awful. Who knows?
Yeah.
So treasure this
She just
one.
turned one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's growing
Pretty fun.
and happy, and I think they take a lot from the parents. One day I remember I stubbed my toe on the fireplace, and not the house we're in, but the one before.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, crap. And a couple days later, I heard that was what I was thinking about Tammy. I heard Tammy say, crap. And it sounded so awful coming out of this little girl's mouth. And I thought, she learned that from me. So you have to be careful what you say and how you say it. And I think the parents today, well, it started with your generation, Landon. Dads didn't get in and help moms. And when I used to go at mother baby working, the Spanish people were the best. The husbands would get in and help the moms change their pads in the bathroom. Most husbands don't do that. But, and I noticed with you and Jennifer, when you had Janessa, and you had to bond with her because you were in medical school. And she didn't even have to move out of the bed. I was so jealous. I had to get out of bed, go in and get her and nurse her. And David would wake up and go, "Oh, the baby slept good last night." And I went, "Oh my gosh, she was up like 6 times. Hello." But I remember you getting up, changing her, bringing her to Jennifer. Jennifer would nurse her. You'd take her, burp her, give her on the other side, and then walk her till she fell asleep and put her back to bed. And I thought, this generation is amazing. I kind of wished
Landon
I
is
had that,
amazing.
but you were the first one, so you started that for me. And Damon was the same way. Kenny was a little better than his dad. He's learning it. He helps a lot. He helped a
I
lot
think
with
Nate's
little
been really
kids.
good too.
And I'm sure all of the men do, but I think your generation up, Jarrett's generation will be fantastic.
Yes. How many kids, Jarrett?
That I'm gonna have
Yeah, your wife.
whatever she wants.
That's
Hmm.
exactly right. 10?
All right. Hopefully a lot, right?
Yeah, we'll go for 10.
When Tammy was little, she wanted 20 children because she wanted to drive a school bus. You remember that?
Yeah.
She wanted 20 children.
So cute.
No, David only wanted 3 or maybe 4 when we got married. And I said, I've always wanted 6, always. And
I
he
think
said,
6 is a good number.
whatever, I don't mind trying. So, anyway.
Well, we sure love you, Grammie. That's
Oh,
so you have
that's
your
so
very first
fun.
great granddaughter
Yes.
with Lacey, but she's 1 now, and
Lacey
Be
made
excited
me
to
a
see how
great
many
grandma,
come.
and they call me Gigi, and I love
Gigi,
So fun.
Lacey and
Gigi.
Gigi. And you must know that. So Gigi was tending Lacey. Was it every Monday?
I'm gonna
On
film
Mondays,
you while you
yes.
tell this.
Yeah. Well, so when Janessa was doing her masters, she had this incredible loving crew that would take care of
At
Lacey
network,
1 day a
yep.
week.
Yep.
Gigi did 1 day,
that. I did Monday.
right? And then Jen did a day, and Grandma Zyre did a day.
Yep.
And Daddy Zyre, Tyler, her dad, Lacey's dad, did a day. And then Janessa worked from home on Wednesdays, and that helped her finish her master's degree.
I know, and what an honor it was. And I told Janessa, I said, thank you, because you start doubting yourself. Did I do everything I should have done as a mom? I read back in my journals, and thank goodness we had family home evening every night, and we said our prayers, and we did fun activities, and stuff like that. But you think, was I a good enough mom? Did I teach them everything they needed to know? So I told Janessa, thank you for giving me her to let me see that I can be a mom again. It was so fun. And I said I can be patient with her, and she's happy, and she just brings so much joy. So this was my second chance to be a mom. So it
And I think it
wasn't,
did good with both
it
chances.
wasn't
Yeah.
hard at
You
all.
followed the spirit and did your best every day.
I think
You
one thing
can
to
have no
remember-
regrets.
Yeah, one thing to remember is we're here to be parents as humans. So we're not going to do it perfect. We're going to struggle, but if humans keep trying with the Savior, they'll always be successful.
Yep.
Well, and they say you can tell how successful you were as a mother by your grandchildren.
Mm.
And look at my grandchildren.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
They are amazing.
I have amazing grandchildren. So if that's anything, I did okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
My children are pretty amazing. And like Dad's patriarchal blessing said, men and women of great accomplishment, and all of them are. Every one of them.
So true.
But you couldn't have done that without the Lord, that's for sure.
Mm-mm.
You have to involve the Lord in your life when you're raising children and when you're married. There needs to be a triangle with Heavenly Father and you and your wife. So
And what great grandma tends their great grandchildren
Almost none.
all day
well,
long?
and
no one but
my grandma-
Grammy.
at 70 years old, she was in bed every day with a little jacket on. She just
Right?
stayed in bed all day long at 70.
Isn't that
Right?
amazing?
And I thought-
I'm almost there.
I hardly ever
Get me a little jacket.
I hardly ever had my mom tend. I can maybe twice or 3 times in our whole married life did she ever come, and one time just mainly that she came and stayed with them because we had to go up to Jackson Hole with the young men and young women, and she came and stayed. But she never had more than 2 children and 6
It's a
children.
big deal.
I remember her folding laundry downstairs, watching soap operas, and she'd say, I've never seen so many clothes in my entire life. I said, Mom, I have 6 children. It's not like we have tons of clothes, but you have 6 children, and David and I, but that was her excuse to watch her soap operas. Oh, I'm folding clothes for you, but I've never seen so many clothes. But I worried about her tending them because she just had never been around a lot of children, and she could get upset. And so to have her, let alone the grandma,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I ever would have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So,
shows
I was
where Grammie's at.
tickled.
That's
I was
amazing.
tickled
And you
that
did
it for a
Janessa
whole
would allow
semester.
me to do that.
For a
Yeah.
whole semester.
It was such a blessing. Such
Yeah,
a
Lacey-
blessing.
We were told that Lacey would go to your house and she would just smile and be so excited because she's so excited to be at Gigi's.
Mhm.
Well, she just recognized some of those things, the lights, the lamps. She loved the carpet too in front of that thing. She loved laying on that carpet we had there. So, but I'm sure she loved going to all of you. But
And she loved the little frog chair you gave her.
oh yes,
That was her favorite
oh my
chair.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
We would have been lost without
Yeah,
Froggy chair.
I
that's for
agree.
sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, so
It
fun.
was such a treat to do that. I can hardly wait for the next one.
Yep. Well, good job. You did an amazing job as a mom. You
You're
can
with
feel,
2 goats.
right?
2
Goats,
generations of the goats.
Yay!